Some people might be wondering if we as Christians are to go through the tribulation, how are we supposed to handle persecution? How are we supposed to prepare ourselves? What are we supposed to do? We're supposed to obey all the authorities. We're supposed to disobey. What happens if our church is locked down? What do we do? Like, do we still go to church? All this kind of stuff. What do we do? So I'm going to share some of my thoughts as to how we can prepare for tribulations, because again, it's going on right now throughout the world. We just may not see it here in our Western civilization. We may not see persecution for a while. We might not see it for years. Who knows? We could see it in a month. We could see it 6 months from now. So how do you prepare for persecution? Well, let's just go to the book of Daniel. So I think that's a good place to start. So I'll share some of my thoughts. Feel free to comment, subscribe, all this kind of stuff, and hopefully this will make sense to you in the end. So let's just go to Daniel chapter 1. So I'm just going to read a bit and then share some of my thoughts. So Daniel's training in Babylon. So they just got captured by Babylon. And then people got carried away. So let's just read the scripture. In the third year, in the reign of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came to Jerusalem and besieged it. And the Lord delivered Jehoiakim, king of Judah, into his hand, along with some of the articles from the temple of God. These he carried off to the temple of God in Babylonia and put in the treasure house of his God. Then the king ordered Ashpenaz, chief of his court officials, to bring into the king's service some of the Israelites from the royal family and the noble young men without any physical defect, handsome, showing aptitude for every kind of learning, well-informed, quick to understand, and qualified to serve in the king's palace. He was to teach them the language and literature of the Babylonians. The king assigned them a daily amount of food and wine from the king's table. They were to be trained for 3 years, and after that, they were to enter the king's service. Now, among those who were chosen were some from Judah, which were Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. We know that as Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. The chief official gave them new names. Daniel, the name Belteshazzar. It's weird that we say Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, but for some reason we don't call Daniel Belteshazzar. We don't call Hananiah. We don't call Shadrach Hananiah. We don't call Meshach Mishael. We don't call Abednego Azariah. It's just funny how we have it flipped. Anyways, Daniel is Belshazzar. So whenever you hear that name Belshazzar, that's Daniel. Just a little thought there. So they got new names, but Daniel resolved not to defile himself with royal food and wine, and he asked the chief official for permission not to defile himself this way. Now God had caused the official to show favor and compassion to Daniel. So this is one of the ways that we can help get through persecution, is to ask God for favor. Because here, God had caused the official to show favor and compassion to Daniel. But the official told Daniel, I'm afraid of my lord the king, who has assigned your food and drink. Why should he see you looking worse than the other men your age? The king would then have my head. He would behead him because of you. He'd kill him. There's a little bit of pressure on these officials. Daniel then said to the guard, whom the chief official had appointed over Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, please test yourself servants for 10 days. Please test your servants for 10 days. Give us nothing but vegetables to eat and water to drink that compare appearance with that of the other young men who eat the royal food. And treat your servants in accordance with what you see. So give us 10 days. We'll eat vegetables, water, see if we look just like them or better. If not, then you could do what you think is fit. So the official agreed to this, test them for 10 days. At the end of the 10 days, they looked healthier and better nourished than any of the young men who ate the royal food. So the guard took away their choice food and the wine they were to drink and gave them vegetables instead. To these four young men, God gave knowledge and understanding of all kinds of literature and learning, all the Babylonian stuff. And Daniel could understand visions and dreams of all kinds, everything. At the end of the time set by the king to bring them into service, the chief official presented them to Nebuchadnezzar. The king talked with them, and he found none equal to Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. So they entered the king's service, all four of them, in every matter of wisdom and understanding about which the king questioned them. He found them 10 times better than all the magicians and enchanters in his whole kingdom. So they knew 10 times as much as they did. Chapter 2. In the second year of his reign, Nebuchadnezzar had dreams. His mind was troubled. He couldn't sleep. So the king summoned the magicians, enchanters, sorcerers, astrologers, tell him what he had dreamed. When they came in, they stood before him. He said to them, I have had a dream. It troubles me. I want to know what it means. Then the astrologers answered the king, may the king live forever. Tell your servants the dreams, and we will interpret it. The king replied to the astrologers, this is what I have firmly decided. If you do not tell me what my dream was and interpret it, I will have you cut into pieces and your houses turned into piles of rubble. But if you tell me the dream and explain it, you will receive from me gifts and rewards of great honor. So tell me the dream and interpret it for me. Once more, they replied, let the king tell his servants the dream, and then we'll tell you what it means. King answered, I'm certain that you are trying to gain time because you realize that this is what I have firmly decided. If you do not tell me the dream, there's only one penalty for you. You have conspired to tell me misleading and wicked things, hoping the situation will change. So then, tell me the dream, and I will know that you could interpret it for me. Astrologers answered the king, there is no one on earth who could do what the king asks. No king, however great and mighty, has ever asked such a thing of any magician or enchanter or astrologer. What the king asks is too difficult. No one could reveal it to the king except the gods, and they do not live among humans. This made the king so angry, furious, that he ordered the execution of all the wise men of Babylon, including Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Everyone's to be executed. He's upset. So the decree was issued to put wise men to death, all of them. The men were sent to look for Daniel and his friends to put them to death. When Eric, the commander of the king's guard, had gone out to put to death the wise men of Babylon, Daniel spoke to him with wisdom and tact. This is what we need to pray for. He asked the king's officer, why did the king issue such a harsh decree? Eric then explained the matter to Daniel. At this, Daniel went into the king, went right in there, asked for time. This is wisdom, so that he might interpret the dream for him. Then Daniel returned to his house and explained the matter to his friends, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. He urged them to plead for mercy from God of heaven concerning this mystery, so that he and his friends might not be executed with the rest of the wise men of Babylon. During the night, excuse me, the mystery was revealed to Daniel in a vision. Parch. Then Daniel praised the God of heaven and said, so here is wisdom. Daniel prayed that God would show him the mystery so that he would get executed. I think that's what we can do as well. We can pray to God to help us handle the authorities. So the authorities are going to do something against his rule, against his law. They want to execute Christians or say they want to shut down the church. We need wisdom to know how to escape some of those situations. We need to have wisdom. The only way to get through persecution, the only way to get through tribulation is to ask God for wisdom on a daily basis. This is why we need to know the scripture inside and out so that God can deliver us from evil times, not just get snatched away to heaven before anything bad happens. It's kind of weird. I don't think that's realistic. I think it's realistic to ask God for wisdom on a daily basis. So that's it. Let me know your thoughts. Still a little bit stuffy. A little bit stuffy. Whenever I read, I get a little bit stuffy. Anyways, thanks a lot. Hope you got something out of this. Share your thoughts. Feel free to comment. Let me know. Subscribe. You know the drill. I'll see you in another video. Bye for now.